All right, so I had to hurry up and get in this trade after this headline, and it broke this candle, the swing. So essentially, what happened was it's a news headline right here, pretty significant. Iran rejected the ceasefire for the first time. So I think that was pretty significant to get in. So we shall see what happens. And we've made a change to the strategy yesterday. We are now using the 1 minute time frame for this headline driven market strategy. So this is at 8:16. This is the candle where that headline came out about rejecting the ceasefire. It's my stop right here. Once it passes this candle, I'll go ahead and move my stop. I pretty much got in somewhere right here. And it is 8:20, so it is pre-market. And we also changed the EMA. The EMA, since we're doing the 1 minute chart, I changed the non-EMA specific to be a 1 minute non-EMA. So time frame calculation is 1 minute, only visible on the 1 minute chart. This ain't really had the momentum I thought it was gonna have. This is a pretty big candle, but I expected it to keep following through. This is the first time that they said anything about acknowledging the ceasefire and rejecting it. They never acknowledged, hey, we're in talks with the ceasefire thing, and then they said they rejected it. But maybe it's just because it just says citing sources here. It says FARS citing source. So who knows what that source could really be? Maybe that's why. But yeah, as far as entry, we did a good execution. I ain't tripping about that. Um, we got in on the break, waited till it broke out right here. Headline candle was right here. My stop is right here. I think these are all good. It's a good entry, good stop loss placement. I'm out. I don't know what that was. I'm out. I don't know what that was. We're out. That was a crazy spike. That was insane. I don't know what that was. Yep. So that's circulating now. Iran does not accept ceasefire. So that's starting to circulate. That's starting to be reiterated. All right, so essentially we got in right here on that candle close. Had my stop right there. Good stop, good execution. Got out. It spiked, and I got out when it pretty much spiked back up a little bit, about right here. And yeah, that was insane. I've never, during the back testing and live testing of this strategy, I have, then again, we switched to the 1 minute chart, but I have never seen it do that. So that was never tested for. So I got out immediately. I didn't want to play around with that because it could easily whip. And I just started seeing it whip crazy. It could have whip up and jump way up and really fucked me up. So didn't want any of that. Yeah, see, on the 2 minute chart, which was what we used to trade this strategy on before I made this change literally last night, it doesn't seem as drastic, but even then it still does seem like a crazy whiplash right there. But yeah, execution was great, and this headline is still recirculating. Iran is still talking about the ceasefire and the truce. They're saying now talks not viable in current conditions. So they're pretty much reiterating in different words what this headline candle was, which is they're not accepting a ceasefire. That was a pretty big, like I said earlier in this recording, that was pretty big. I wish I recorded the as soon as I entered, but I had to hurry up and get in and then hit record because I actually got out of bed to get in this and see what happened after the headline, and I had just caught this candle close. So I had just got in at the right time. If it went past this, if we was on the next candle, I wouldn't have been able to enter. I wouldn't have been pushing my luck on that. So we got in on time, baby, and we made it happen. Yeah, there you go. First successful trade of the week. Honestly, to be real with you, this is my first live win period. And this is actually my first time actually trading this strategy live as well. So all good stuff, man. We'll see what the rest of the day brings, but so far it's been pretty good. If I would have stayed in this trade and didn't care about the whiplash, again, because it was going like crazy like that, there was a potential for it to spike up. But based off of what the headline's saying, which is clearly not a good headline. It's not like, oh, maybe it could be taken as good, so there has a chance of the price actually going up on this. No, Iran not accepting a ceasefire, just blatantly says does not accept ceasefire. No, that was bad. So I wouldn't have really been thinking like this candle could whiplash up in any way. I'm surprised it did this at all. Like, dropped down that quick and then came back up like at all. That must have been like algos and shit and bot trading, but that was crazy. You know, if I decided to stay in, that I wouldn't have been upset with myself about that either, because like I said, with that kind of a headline, there's no way I'd expect it to jump up. What I was concerned about though, when I seen it whiplashing like that, was, is there another headline on top of that I did not see that came out as well? That is the reason for it to have the drop down, maybe because of this headline and the reiteration of that headline really in the negative. But then there's a headline that I didn't receive or read yet that was something that could move it to the upside, all in this one candle. So I was concerned about that as well, because the headlines was rolling in kind of fast and I wasn't able to read every single headline because it was multiple around this. So like, yeah, I didn't want to chance it. I didn't want to risk it. But say I stayed in, I wouldn't have been mad at myself either. And we would have stayed in. We would have rode it. We would have got to this candle right here, and I would have said, okay, let's watch this because the breaks here, you know, it's gonna keep going probably for a while. And I would have had my stop. So my stop would have been moved once it got here. My stop would have been moved to about, like, I'd say about right here. And then after I seen it drop right here, okay, now I'd be looking at my 9 EMA. Again, we changed it to calculate the 1 minute time frame specifically on the 1 minute chart. Anyways, and we would have been trailing the 9 EMA stop loss. Once I seen this candle and close it, I would have been trailing this 9 EMA as my stop at this point. So really, we would have made even more money had I stayed in. But I'm also not mad at myself for getting out because, like I said, a lot of headlines. They could have been quote unquote good headlines snuck in here that would have been a reason for it to have been wicking up like that, and I would have been like, okay. I would have been upset if it came all the way up here because it's a headline I didn't read within this string of like 5 headlines that came out all in the same time with Iran speaking, but it could have been something else that I was not seeing or being able to read that quickly. So either way, all in all, good trade. I feel like price is just gonna, from that headline, because that was a big one, just them rejecting the ceasefire for the first time, and really even acknowledging that the ceasefires are in talks, because that's them acknowledging, okay, they are talking about ceasefires. That wasn't just Trump saying it. Is now Iran is actually specifically talking about ceasefire and said that they're rejecting the ceasefire. So that's acknowledging that they're in talks about a ceasefire, and then 2, they're rejecting the ceasefire. So that's 2 big things, especially the rejection part, because that's obviously pretty bad, and especially what I read. So that came out first, and then they said, you know, on top of that, it says U.S. talks illogical. Iran says truce talks not viable in current conditions. This is from FARS, FARS. But yeah, and at first I was skeptical about, like, okay, maybe this move happened and it's starting to go back up right here because of no, I started thinking right here, I was like, okay, maybe it didn't drop like I thought it would, as much as I thought it would, because it just said sources originally. It said FARS, says quoting FARS, it says FARS quoting sources or something like that. So sources could obviously mean anything. Maybe the market doesn't really trust that, or, you know, for such an important headline like that. So maybe I was thinking here, all right, well, maybe that's why it's not dropping as much as I thought it would. But it started getting reiterated. It was still off FARS. And then it started getting reiterated some more right here. So like, I think this candle is when, you know, this is the candle when multiple headlines came out from FARS about, you know, what Iran is saying. So it came out with a couple headlines. Iran does not accept ceasefire, so they reiterate that. Iran says U.S. stepped up efforts to secure ceasefire. Iran says truce talks not viable in current conditions. That all came out very close to each other around this area. So that's what happened. And yeah, so that's the play-by-play. Quick little scout in and out, and we caught that move. I got out of the bed for this. I got this headline in the bed. I immediately got up and out the bed. That's why I'm staying logged into my brokerage accounts. A lot of headlines going on within the past couple weeks. Iran war. So we got to it. Let's see what the rest of the day brings. It's only 8:35. So I decided I'm actually going to leave the recording on, even though it's a pre-market. I'm not currently in the trade, because there's a lot of headlines that have been being dropped since like around this candle. Ever since then, there's been a lot of headlines coming out from Iran. Still, Fars is coming out with all these headlines. Iranian sources say they want a full end to the war, not just a ceasefire. That just came out. I don't really expect too much of a reaction, if any, from that one. Not after the whole they reject the ceasefire one. That was a big one. The acknowledgement of the ceasefire / rejection of the ceasefire. That was a pretty big one, if you ask me. I'm surprised the market didn't react more to that. It is pre-market, but I'm saying even for pre-market, that's surprising to react more to that, because that was the first they ever acknowledged the ceasefire, as far as I'm concerned, and rejection. So I mean, like, that's not good. So I'm gonna leave the recording on, because ain't no telling when the headline's gonna drop that's gonna move the market. Again, seems to be reacting to this level. Seen it did it over here. Seems to have done it here. Like, this level is doing something. Just a note, has nothing to do with my strategy, or any of my strategies for that matter. Looks like price is in loving this pre-market high. It's just not really. It's just hovering around there. Again, as far as my market opening strategy goes, which we are not currently using, we're using the headlines driven strategy. This wouldn't have bode. This still doesn't bode well. So the price action isn't favorable for that strategy. It hasn't been for the past few weeks during all this headline stuff. So it might not be viable all the way going up until, this Iran stuff is like finished, or people are paying like a little bit less attention to it. But I don't see that happening. It like that Iran stuff would need to have smoothed itself out, whether it's a month ceasefire, or they end the war. But right now, until then, I feel like price action isn't gonna respect levels as much as before the war started. This is a headline that just came out. I haven't gotten to it, but the chat I'm in, the live stream I'm watching, they're saying that uh the headline, which is I forget, but yeah, this is a headline. This move. I haven't gotten the headline, so I wouldn't trade this. It would need to, which it did. It broke through there, but I'm not getting in there because I haven't gotten that headline, so and I don't even remember what the headline is. So, but yeah, if I knew what the headline was and I felt it was like decent enough, I could have got in on this candle, but at the close of this candle. But I don't know what the headline is. Other thing to mention about the trading the headline market strategy during a lot of headlines coming out, and not the opening market strategy. Another reason to trade that, besides it just works better, is I could, even if the opening market strategy was viable during a time like this, if price action was like at least decent. The thing is, all it takes is one headline for a nice setup that's going in my favor to completely collapse and then drop the other way. I.e., this. Let's say I entered, it broke, I entered, my stop was right here, and it didn't pass my stop, then closed past my stop, and it decided to keep going back up. But then headline, and I'm stopped out. So, these headlines can come out at any given time, and there's a lot of them throughout the day. So, another good reason to not trade that strategy when it's a period of just a lot of headlines coming out. And so the headline for this move right here was Iran has not yet agreed to talk on the ceasefire deal, and that was Pakistan, which who have been saying that they would be the mediators of peace talks. They would be open to that. Pakistan is the one that is saying that Iran has not yet agreed to talk on the ceasefire. So that's what this drop is. So that's actually decent because it's coming from Pakistan. It's not coming from quote sources quote. It's coming from Pakistan, who had headlines earlier this week saying that they would mediate, peace talks between Iran and U.S. So that actually does hold some weight there. So like, if I would have got in right there, that would have been nice. I just didn't know I didn't remember what the headlines was. I didn't get the headline, and I just only heard it on this live that I'm watching. But no, that was a big one. I didn't get that headline. I actually missed that headline for some reason. Nobody gave me. I didn't get that notification of any updates to that one. I'm only getting my headlines from two sources on Twitter. I have multiple sources, but so I don't get flooded with notifications. I only follow two people that are pretty good with the headlines and the relevancy of the headlines and the quickness. This has to be a new headline, or it's a headline circulation of that Pakistan headline. This is a nice move right here. We missed that one. And I even spoke about it. I was like, if I knew what it was and I thought it was significant enough, which I knew this one is once I heard remembered what it was. Yeah, this is nutty. This would have been nutty. We would have been rolling in it. All right, so this one is there is no confirmed date or venue for possible U.S.-Iran talks in Islamabad, and Iran has not yet agreed to talks. I'm not sure if that was the original headline or if this is kind of a reiteration with added details, but yeah, there's that. Let me check my Twitter. Why didn't I receive that? Yeah, none of my sources on Twitter actually came out with that one. Yeah, I'm surprised I didn't get that one. It's not on my Twitter at all. My Twitter feed. Man, look at that. That was just straight red candles. That was a hell of a move. For a headline I didn't get and would have never knew about unless I was watching this this live channel. That's crazy. And this channel is delayed by like a minute, which isn't a huge deal, you know, because if it happened, like it looked like it happened on this candle. If it's only been a minute, this is the minute candle. This is a candle we on a minute chart. As long as it came out, as long as I got that headline news within these two candles, I would have been straight because we would have entered on this candle right here at that close. But I didn't see the headline. I only got it on the freaking channel. So I wouldn't. I don't know. Would I have thought that was important enough? Because I wouldn't. I didn't see it anywhere else. Still don't. Iran to reveal response to U.S. war proposal. Press TV says will soon publish details of Iran's response to a U.S. proposal and its conditions for ending the war. That's old news. Contents have not yet been disclosed, but the announcement signals Tehran is preparing to formally outline its stance amid ongoing conflict and diplomatic pressure. Reiteration. All right, I don't know what this candle is. That seems like a headline drop. Can't be. Iran will end the war at the time of his own choosing. That might be it. That's on the channel. It's not a headline I've received. All right, now I got the Iran will end the war at the time of his own choosing, only if own conditions met. Iran won't allow Trump to dictate timing of war ends. So this channel that I'm watching on YouTube is pretty useful. It has a minute delay on the live, but the chat, some of them are very useful. Are very good at headlines and putting the headline out before I even get those. So it's good to be tapped into that to some other channels besides my Twitter, people I follow on Twitter. Yeah, because I'm getting some of these headlines that I'm seeing in this chat are like a minute, damn near a minute earlier than when I receive them. Yeah, so I'm getting like these are like back to back headlines. Ever since like up here, it's been like back to back headlines. When it's back to back headlines like that, I have to be wary. Like when there's a press briefing and you just get a flood of headlines because this is what this is. This is Iran TV and coming out with all these fucking headlines all at once. So it's like drop after drop after drop, all within like this space of time. So when that happens, I have to be very careful because it could easily be a headline that makes the market drop, but literally in the same candle, it could pop right back up like crazy. So during like headlines that come out real quick together like that, unless there's one that's like a lot more significant than the other ones that just came out around it, um probably wouldn't be too bad of an idea to like not take a trade on that. You know, the higher probability ones as far as I'm concerned and how I'm thinking would be the ones where it's just one headline that's pretty significant or good enough, and then it and that would be the opportunity. Not, oh, it's like three, four, five of them that drop within a few candles. You know what I mean? Like that's that could get crazy. That could muddle up the headline price action from it. You know what I mean? So those might want to think and consider not entering on something like that. That's why, like, you see these wicks, it's because the market doesn't know what to do. Because it's like headline after headline after headline. The market doesn't know what to do with all of that. It's a lot. You know, it has to decipher all of it first, and then it's going to decide, okay, let's go down, let's go up, or let's not do anything at all. And in the meantime, it's going to whiplash. You know what I mean? Kind of like this. It's not a whiplash like these candles, but it's just chopping up. And they're still dropping headlines. So it's like any headlines that come out like right now during this little time period, I'm not getting in on any of that. I don't care which direction it goes. I don't care if it breaks this. I don't care if it breaks that at the headline. It's too many headlines all within the same time period for me to, feel comfortable with taking any trades. I look at price. Price is doing all this because there's so many headlines coming out, and the market doesn't know what to do. That's what all these wicks are about. Little different on the QQQ. It's actually making some movement up and down, but like still looks very indecisive. Iran rejects U.S. proposal, says 5 conditions for war end. Iran rejected U.S. proposal. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so that's just a reiteration. A lot of reiterations, too. Still more and more headlines. Jeez. And it's all coming from Iran TV. They're just letting it all out. Iran wants international recognition of authority over Hormuz Strait. That one is different. I don't think it's going to move because there's been so many headlines. I don't think that's going to have like a crazy impact, but that, as far as what's new coming out in headlines, that is new. And that is something that the US would not agree to, not without their own puppet in place. All right, so the market going up like this, there really isn't any like headline reason as to why it's going up. Like there was multiple headlines, and honestly, all of it was more on the negative side. They were stating, giving their conditions and all of that for a peace to happen and stuff. So that's what all that was. It really wasn't a reason for the market to go up. This candle we're seeing right now is a headline that says talks won't happen until the conditions that they just laid out during this are met. So, again, no matter what happens with this candle, like I'm not getting in on that. It's too much. It's too many headlines bouncing. Whoa, see what I mean? Too many headlines bouncing around. Do you see this? What the fuck is that? I'm not getting in on any of this shit. It's too many headlines floating around and coming out way too quickly. Like it's too much. And this is a perfect example as to why. If I was to get in right here, because it closed past that swing on this headline, oh yeah, immediately what would have happened? Before I could even lay my stop, shoot, shot all the way up, and I might have got spooked and got out really up here, and that would have been a crazy move to take a hit on. Iran's initial response to the U.S. proposal, not positive, but Tehran is still reviewing the proposal. That's senior Iranian official. So that's what that is. I think that has to be what the headline was, because that's the headline that just came out right after saying that they won't accept a deal until the 5 conditions that they met, that they referred to here, are met. And then this candle was the next headline. Yeah. So that's why we're not getting in on like these headlines that are coming out close together when it's a TV, when like somebody talking and this mad headlines coming out from them talking and they're all around the same level. Yeah, no. This is crazy. This is crazy. It is 10:51. Nothing is happening after all these headlines, man. All of this was just freaking headline central. Um, and now price is kind of moving up. There really isn't a reason for it to move up headline wise. So yeah, I'm expecting, based off of what I'm seeing here, it might just stay in this range. Fox News: 30 plus NATO allies are moving to secure the Strait of Hormuz. I'm not sure what this headline is. Iran nuclear power plant struck. I didn't get that headline. That was from the live channel I'm watching. That's what this is. Not gonna get into that one though. Not gonna answer that again because it's been pretty quiet as far as like this area here has been pretty quiet, but this whole thing right here has been like headline fucking central. So with that many headlines coming out so close together, even though it's been a while, which is why this had that kind of a reaction. Plus, it's pretty significant enough. But yeah, I don't feel comfortable getting in on that just because of all this other stuff. It's too many headlines coming out. Plus, the live channel is saying, "Hey, this came out 17 minutes ago," and it just might have been reiterated. I haven't seen that, but that's what the channel is saying. So that might be why people are reacting to it now, because they might not have gotten it just like me. I didn't get it at 17 minutes ago when it originally came out. I'm not getting it out now either. So price is kind of just doing whatever it wants. like this, like this move right here, this little rebound, there's really no reason for that. There's like not a headline at least that came out that justifies this move. Again, there's just so many. This today was so crazy with headlines as far as the frequency and how close they were to each other. All right here. Yeah, it's just a lot to keep up with, and you know, it dilutes the momentum and directions and all of that when you have so many headlines coming out so close together. So, um, I haven't taken any trades on any of these headlines other than the one I did during the pre-market. Where was that? I was right here. I took that one. But other than that, I haven't taken anything.